This simple dish today, I'm going to show you how I use whole spices and the importance of making sure that you don't burn your spices, because when your spices burn, that's what causes that bitter aftertaste. So watch this beautiful recipe that I'm going to cook: potatoes with spinach and tomatoes and spices, of course. Today I will be using chopped up potatoes. You can use pre-cooked potatoes. I've got my 7 spices there, chopped up tomatoes, and I've got some spinach. And I'm going to start by heating the oil in the pan. I like to use olive oil, but you use oil of your choice, and I do not bring it to a really high temperature. So as it's gradually starting to heat up, I'm just going to test the oil with a couple of mustard seeds. This is a good way to test it. Now, as they had started to gently pop, I added my teaspoon of mustard seeds. And then they'll start to pop. And once they've popped, I'll go in with the cumin seeds. And the cumin seeds, when they touch the hot oil, they crackle. And for both of them, when they either pop or crackle, that is when they're releasing their oils and their aroma. Now I've gone in with my chopped up potatoes, and like I said, you can at this point also use cooked potatoes. I've just got some white potatoes, small potatoes, chopped up into small cubes. Here I'm gently stirring and coating all the potatoes with the oil and the mustard seeds and cumin seeds. So it's very important prior to when I added the potatoes not to burn those spices, because then that would have created a bitter curry and we don't want that. Now I'm going in with my dried spices, so they come in after. I didn't put the ground spices in before, so that was ground coriander, and ground coriander gives a lovely flavour, lovely floral flavour. Next I put in just half the amount though of ground cumin, because I've got cumin seeds in there. I'm putting chili powder in. You can use fresh chilies as well, but I'm keeping this really simple. So I've got chili powder in, and now I've got turmeric in there. So all those spices are in, and salt. Don't forget the salt. Salt brings out the flavour of the spices. And very carefully now I'm going to, again, my temperature's not too high, and I'm coating all those potatoes with the spices. As those potatoes are in there, those potatoes are getting coated with the spices, so the spices don't actually get into the oil, so they won't burn. So this is how we're protecting these spices. So just remember, the whole spices like cumin seeds and mustard seeds go in first into the oil, and again, not piping hot oil because we don't want them to burn. And then you're putting in your veggies or your onions. Let's say I'm talking about another recipe that you're doing, and then after that you add your ground spices like I did: ground coriander, cumin. I'm just going to pop the lid on, and also for this recipe I'm adding a couple of tablespoons of water. If I'd had my potatoes already cooked, like use cooked potatoes, I wouldn't have had to do that bit. So now I want the potatoes to gently cook and steam in that water. I'll pop the lid on, and they'll just cook really gently, and all those flavors will go into the potatoes. Once the potatoes are cooked and they're nearly ready, as they're simmering, I'll then go in with my next ingredient, which is the spinach and tomatoes. You can also add peas to this as well. You can also make this dish using a mix of normal potatoes and sweet potatoes as well. There you go, going in with spinach. If you want to use frozen spinach, you can put frozen spinach in it as well. Add the spinach, that's just going to wilt now. So my potatoes were actually cooked at this stage, because we don't even want to overcook that spinach either. Now stir the spinach through. It's just going to nicely wilt through the potatoes, keeping that little bit of freshness to it as well. And then once that's all stirred through, I will go in with the tomatoes. Tomatoes will add a nice bit of tang to it as well. So it gives a nice balance of, you got that slight sweetness coming from the potatoes, and then you got the spices, slight little bit of heat, and then the tomatoes will balance it out really nicely with a nice bit of tang and freshness. If you wanted a saucier curry, like with some sauce, you could also add in tin tomatoes as well, and that would have turned this into this will be quite a dry curry, but that would be more of a sauce, and you would have then had, with the tin tomatoes, it would have been more of a spinach curry with a lovely tomatoey sauce, spinach and potato curry with a lovely tomatoey sauce. So it's very flexible, very, very flexible. Indian cooking is very flexible. The only thing I say to you is don't burn your spices. Be very careful with your spices. And look at this. Isn't that just lovely? Yeah, mixing it all through. And then that can be left to eat later on, or it's ready to enjoy now. And then you may just want to finally finish off with a little bit. Make sure you taste it as well for salt and seasoning. And then if you want, you can finish it off with some garam masala and some coriander leaves. And then it's ready. You can have it as your main, or you can have it as a side. Either way, it is delicious. And I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you so much for watching me make this dish. It's not just about the dish. The most important thing is how we use those spices. So if you want to learn Indian cooking, come and join me inside the Indian Cooking Club over on school. The link is on bio, and I'd love to show you how Indian cooking is easy, it is manageable, and to go from being confused by spices to being confident in using spices. I'll see you there.